there's also something about routine that works out really, really well. Ron Penna, with the greatest quote of all time, perhaps, saying like that he fucking hates routine, but he responds really well to it, and that he doesn't necessarily like he hates sleep, but he hates feeling tired more. And he kept kind of repeatedly saying that over about like a bunch of stuff. He's like, I don't really love to train, but I don't want to be like, I would hate to be weak. He doesn't want to miss opportunities in life. And so therefore, as much as he hates being organized and being on time and having a routine, he has one because he hates being late more than he hates, you know what I mean? So so I think when you get into these routines, it is important to stay attached to them, especially if you're in the beginning stages. Like somebody that's new to dieting, they might have to be on a keto diet. Somebody that's new to running, they might have to literally just say, you know what? You need to run every day, man. Like you need to just go or jujitsu, like you need to go to practice a lot. You know, you need to go to practice every day, even if you don't actually participate every day. You need to go every day, and you need just sometimes that's the breakthrough period that you need in order for you to, there's like a hump, right? You gotta get past this, you gotta break inertia, and you gotta be able to get some momentum behind it.
One thing about that too is the auto-regulation aspect of it. Now, auto-regulation is a term that a lot of people use in lifting and all of sport, where let's say you have a program that's set up and it calls for deadlifting 315 for 5 sets of 8 on this day. But let's say you warm up, you go into the gym and you're like, whew, today that 315 just is not there for sets of 8, right? So instead of following the program to a T, you're like, okay, let's just do 300 for sets of 8, or let's do 315 for sets of 6. But if you did the sets of 8, you would have injured yourself. We need to take that concept into every other thing that you do.
You're trying to get better. You're not trying to get worse.
You're not trying to get worse.
So
and
if you were going to potentially hurt yourself, that would be you being way worse. You get reduced to nothing sometimes. It sucks.
Exactly. That's why, you know, when an athlete, let's say a lifter, has just a program, but they're supposed to, you know, I think better people that are better coaches have options within programming for lifting to let the athlete kind of sift on how they're feeling on a day-to-day basis. Because if an athlete just has a program in front of them and the numbers call for this and they don't feel up to that, if they're newer, sometimes they're like, I got to follow the program, man. Can't go off program. And then they fuck themselves up. Whereas if they were able to regulate based off how they did on that day, they wouldn't get hurt. But that's why, at least for me, when it's come to running, I put on the watch and, you know, I'll start the run, but I don't pay attention to it because I'm not trying to go faster. I'm just trying to make sure that my form is good, make sure that I'm feeling good, and go a certain distance. But I know once I look at my watch, there's something inside of me that's like, beat that time. And then once you start trying to really push, that's where, especially when you're getting used to something, you can get fucked up. Just like you shouldn't probably deadlift a certain amount before you're ready for it.
I got hurt not too long ago on a run, and just this young kid kind of went past me, and I was like, I'm like, he's not going that fast. Like I can adjust to like that pace. And I wasn't really trying to beat him necessarily, but I was like, just don't let him disappear, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't my pace. It was his pace, you know? And also maybe he had different plans for the day. Like maybe, first of all, maybe that's like him just coasting. Secondly, maybe that's him just flying, but it does me no good to compare myself to him. Plus, he doesn't even know that I'm trying to keep up with him, you know? Probably look behind him and be like, what the fuck's this guy doing?
Why is this white guy just so intently staring at me?
Why is he breathing so loud? Snot flying everywhere. Jesus Christ.
What's up, Power Project family? It's time to stop dressing like you're a fucking preschooler and step your game up by checking out Viore clothing. Now, I'm not one to talk. I wear a fucking pink hat that has a dog on it, but at the end of the day, at least my shirt and shorts are popping. So head to Viore because they have great stuff for your top and your bottom. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, you guys got to head over to viore.com/power project. That's VUORI.com/power project. And you guys will automatically receive 20% off your order. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
But yeah, you got to kind of like, you know, in life in general, you got to run your own race, and you have to be comfortable with sometimes there are going to be times where you have to be logical about it and realistic. And maybe as bad as it sucks for the day, maybe all you're getting in that day is some walking and some push-ups. Like maybe it's a different day, and that's okay because you want to be able to reload and come back the next day. I would say that if you are feeling beat up and fatigued and you are getting some programming from somebody, you have to really communicate with your coach. A lot of people don't communicate back to their coach that well. And if you're programming for yourself and you're feeling beat up and banged up and fatigued, just bring those percentage. I know it's like you feel like you're being a pussy, but bring those percentages down. You'll be able to get more out of it. And just to kind of give you guys an example of how far you can go without having any, like hardly any knowledge. I mean, I have learned some stuff when it comes to running technique. When it comes to running programming type stuff, I am very new to learning some of this stuff. And when I ran yesterday, I was actually tracking my heart, and I had a heart rate monitor on. A heart rate stayed. I think I would have to look at all the. I'd have to look on my phone at all the stats, but like I never saw it go higher than like 146.
God dang.
And I wasn't like flying, but it was a pretty good run. Occasionally there was little shuffles in there because I did see it, rising up in that 145, 140-ish range, and I wanted to keep it a little bit closer, like 130, 140.
Mm-hmm.
So I did slow down a couple times, but in the beginning, just that pace alone, even for 30 seconds or for a minute, probably would have put my heart rate right to 160. So my heart rate is coming down. I saw Nick Bear talking about this 30-mile run that he did. And he was like, oh, I got to go out and do a 30-mile run. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it sounds so wild. But he's adapted to it over a period of time. And I want to say he was doing like 8-something minute miles. So that's absurd.
Jesus.
Right? But also, he was still in zone 2 cardio. He was still, 180 minus your age. I think he's like 30 or whatever. So whatever the math works out on that. And he said that he posted up an image of his, he was just showing the distance mainly. He's just like, hey, I feel pretty proud and pretty pumped that I did this 30 miles today. And I feel good. Like I did the 30 miles and I already feel like I can go run tomorrow.
Yeah.
And what was on there was his pace was on there along with his heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, what the fuck is going on with your heart rate? How is it that low when you ran that far and ran that fast? And he just said, this is what building out aerobic capacity can do for you. So just shuffling along, you might think that sucks, or you might think a walk and a jog is shitty and you might think it sucks, but you would be shocked at what you could build up. And I mentioned before, Chris Henshaw telling me, hey, just concentrate on running for 20 minutes straight. And I was like, oh man, 20 minutes straight. I don't know about I don't even know if I'll care to work my way towards that. Cause I, in the back of my head, thought that I couldn't do it. And the next thing you know, I'm running for 10 minutes straight, 15 minutes straight, 20 minutes straight, an hour straight, 2 hours straight. And when I did my first half marathon, that took forever, but that was like 3 hours or something like that. So, and that was in a really short period of time. That was only that was in March. Mm-hmm. And I only was paying attention to running and trying to run consistently maybe 2 months prior to that.
Hey, if you want to make Squirtle squirt, I know you're enjoying this content, so like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord below. Peace.